pretty crazy. It was kind of a turmoil time in the United States. I do. I was 13 and I was in school, and the principal came in and announced that there was something tragic that had happened, and told us that President Kennedy had been assassinated and he was killed. And it was pretty traumatizing because President Kennedy was a very loved president. I can remember it vividly. I was kind of crushed. I remember being really crushed that he was assassinated. It was just starting to turn around in the 60s. There were still lots of issues. There was still a lot of racism. There still is today, way more than there should be. That, you know, it's still out there. You know, I knew people from kind of both sides of the fence. I knew some people that were Black Panthers, and they were against white people. And I actually had a friend of mine that was murdered by Black Panthers. He owned a store on Nicollet Avenue in Minneapolis, and they came in and shot him. Most of the people I knew back at that time, I was a hippie. I was in with the hippies, and so most of the people that I associated with were against the Vietnam War. They just hated it. They thought it was an awful thing. I've watched a lot of it over the years. Like I said, I had the friend that was murdered. I've watched way too much racism in my time. People are horrible, and for absolutely no reason whatsoever. All of those were horrible assassinations. They were great men that, you know, did wonderful things and should never have been assassinated. I think it might have brought people closer together in a way. Martin Luther King was a phenomenal person, and I just know after he was assassinated, you know, I felt that it was a great tragedy. I remember when Kennedy was running for election to be president, and thought that it was terrible that a Catholic would be running for president. So, and I thought to myself, why would that be terrible? What difference does it make what religion you are to be president? I thought that was kind of an absurd thing. You know, I was just young, and I think that, you know, once Kennedy was elected, and he was a great president, that, you know, people realized, you know, it's okay for a Catholic to be president. And I think, you know, when he was assassinated, I think it actually brought people closer together. You know, they weren't concerned about the difference in religion. We had some huge moon landings and space phenomenons. You know, when Kennedy announced that we were going to be the first people to put a man on the moon, everybody thought he was nuts. and it actually happened, you know. So when I was a kid, the planes started traveling faster than the speed of sound, and there was a thing called the sonic boom, and it sounded like an explosion or a bomb going off. And I remember I was cooking in the kitchen one day, and there was a sonic boom, and my dad came running into the house because he thought that the stove blew up, and it was a plane going over, and it was a sonic boom. Well, you were just in awe that someone could do that, would be brave enough to do it, that we had the technology to do it. We thought it was great that that the wall, was coming down. I felt like it was a horrible thing for the people who lived over there, because they had relatives on the other side that they weren't able to see. Couldn't go back and forth. Anytime you divide a country, it's not a good thing. People should stand together.